Hello and welcome to our Spreadsheets class. In this lesson, I want us to discuss and try to understand different types of cell references. There are three types of cell references. These are relative, absolute, and mixed cell references. And when we talk about a cell reference, what is a cell reference? A cell reference, we say it is an address used to identify a particular cell in a worksheet made up of a column and row reference. Remember, in a worksheet, columns are identified using alphabetical letters A, B, C, D, and so on. They are examples of column references. Rows are identified using numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. There are so many rows and so many columns in one worksheet. Remember, a worksheet, when we talk about a worksheet, we are talking about many columns, a ledger sheet which is divided into so many columns and so many rows where we can enter data so as to manipulate that data. A single segment, that is a rectangle, which is formed when a column intersects with a row, is called a cell. And each cell of a worksheet is identified by using a cell reference. So no matter where you are, if you point to any cell, then you can be able to say, where am I geographically in this particular worksheet by looking at what is the cell address or what is the cell reference. In this case, I'm in column B, row 5. So this is cell B5. B5. We start by reading the column reference and then the row reference. Okay. Now, I have got three shaded cells. That is cell A, cell B, and cell C. They are the labels which I have applied so that we can try to think of what are the addresses of these cells. And because I have already given you an example of the cell labeled X as B5, what could be the reference of the cell labeled A? Good. Your guess is right. If you have said it is B1, then you are correct. We cannot say 1B, but we say cell B1. Cell A is equal to cell B1. What about cell B, the place referred to as B? Yes, I believe you said E4, cell E3. I think I was also wrong. I mislooked. E3 is the cell reference. And then finally, we have got this other one labeled C. What is the reference? Very good. I know you have said G7. C is G7. Now, with that knowledge, it is important now for us to move on and ask ourselves, how do we identify different types of cell references? We start with the relative cell references. Relative cell references are those cell addresses which will change automatically when the formula they are used in. Notice, when the formula they are used in is copied from one cell to another. Remember, one use of spreadsheet applications is to manipulate data using formulas and functions and other things that we are going to be learning about. So when you copy a formula from one cell to another, and then it happens that that formula contains the references that we have called relative cell references, then it simply means relative cell references will automatically change when copied from one cell to another if they are used in a formula. Okay, so first hold that definition so that we first get all the definitions and then we try to illustrate what we are saying. So the format of relative cell references is simply a column reference and a row reference. Column reference and row reference. So like the way we have said, B4, A1. Okay. So such is an example of a relative cell reference. Then we go to absolute cell references. Absolute cell references will not change. These are addresses, the cell addresses, which do not change automatically when the formula they are used in is copied from one cell to another. So we are going to learn what do you do so that you make a cell an absolute cell reference such that it will not change when you copy it from one cell to another. And their format is simply absolute symbol, which is a dollar. So the dollar symbol here, okay, the dollar symbol that we are using there is the one which makes the column reference in this case to become absolute. And then the dollar symbol that we use for the row reference is what makes the row reference to be absolute. So when you have a pair of dollars, one preceding column reference and another preceding row reference, then in that case we say you are using absolute cell reference. So we are going again to see that. Then we have got the third category, which is the last one, which I would like us to think of. It is called the mixed cell reference. Mixed cell reference. Mixed cell references are those addresses, the cell addresses, which will partly change. Notice they will partly change automatically when the formula they are used in is copied from one cell to another. They take the following format. Either we have got absolute column reference plus a relative row reference. Remember what makes a column reference to be absolute? The dollar symbol. This dollar symbol makes the column reference to be absolute. Then the other way we can have that is when we have, oh, this one is wrong. I think I was in a hurry to prepare my lesson for my class, right? So there should be a dollar symbol to precede. Just a minute, there is somebody calling here, so we will try to just let them hold. The dollar symbol should have been preceding the row reference, but there should be no dollar here. So this is wrong. Now, so when we have a relative row reference, a column reference, and an absolute row reference, it means that one is also an example of a mixed cell reference. So now let's go to various examples of these three types of cell references. We start again with relative cell references. The simplest one, simply A1. There's no dollar anywhere. A1, C10, AA30, Z300, E3, D20, and whatever else you may have. When there is no dollar, that one is called relative cell reference. When we introduce dollar symbols to precede both the column and the row reference, then in that case, because of the pair of dollars, then you say that this is an absolute cell reference. Likewise, this one is an absolute cell reference. So C10 in this case, dollar C, dollar 10 is an absolute cell reference. Then we have got dollar EE, dollar 30. This is another example of absolute cell reference. Then we have got dollar Z, dollar 300 is another example of absolute cell reference. Why? Because we have a pair of dollars, one preceding column reference, the other one preceding the row reference. Are we together? Thank you. And finally, we have the other one, which we call mixed cell references. Mixed cell reference. These will partly change when copied from one cell to another. This will partly change when copied from one cell to another. You know what I'm doing? There is somebody who is keeping on calling, so I wanted to put my phone into a mode where we stop hearing them again. So this is a relative column reference, and this is absolute row reference. Absolute column reference, relative row reference. Relative row column reference, absolute column reference. Why? Because you check on the dollar, what is it preceding? If it is preceding the row, if it is preceding the row and not the column, it is an absolute row reference and a relative column reference. So that's why we are talking about mixed. Mixed as in mixed relative column reference and absolute row reference. Absolute column reference and relative row reference. So far now, with that knowledge, we ask ourselves, what is the need of us knowing that? What is the need of us knowing that? There are many applications, many areas where we are going to apply this concept. There are many areas that we are going to apply this concept. Okay. So I now want to go to Microsoft Excel. I believe we are still following. I'm opening Microsoft Excel. Quickly, Excel come out. And then I start a brand new file, so that we try to learn about these references. So I've got now my worksheet here, zoomed in so that we can be able to see. So in cell A1, I can type a formula which refers to B1. So I can say is equal to B1 plus let's say C5. Okay. So we are referring to two cells. I have referred to this one, which is B1, I believe you can remember, and then I have referred to another one, which is C5, two cells. My formula is referring to those two yellow cells. Okay, so we have said that when you type cell references which do not have dollar symbols in them, when you have cell references which do not have dollar symbols in them, they are relative cell references, and they will change automatically when the formula, because this is a formula, when the formula they are typed in is copied from the cell it is in to another, we expect them to change automatically. So what am I saying? The formula is showing a result of 0 because, of course, in B1 and C5 we have nothing. So let's try to think of pasting the cell, the formula into the red cell, D3. So I copy, Control C copies, and then Control V pastes after getting into D3. So see now, the new formula has changed automatically. It has changed automatically. What we had as B1, in the original formula in A1 now has changed to become E3. And what was C5 initially has changed to become F7. So what has necessitated that change? What has led to that change? It is simple. The original formula is in A1. We have copied it how many steps ahead? 1, 2, 3, right? Let me use an illustration for that. I have got a drawn worksheet which I want us to use for illustration. So the original is here, and our target is D3, so target is there. And in the original, what do we have in the original? We have got is equal to B1 plus E plus C5. Okay, we have got that formula, that is B1 plus C5. That's the formula that we have, and we are targeting to copy this formula from where it is at, and we paste it into another place. Okay, so I'm enlarging the font so that you can be able to follow. So original is here and the target is here. So let's try to think of why should there be the change? Where should there be that change? So it is simple. You just need to ask yourself, how many steps am I moving column wise towards my targeted column? How many columns am I moving towards my targeted column? And in this case, you find I have made the first jump, the second jump, and the third jump. We are moving 3 steps across the columns. In this case, the column references are B in our original formula and C in our original formula. Okay? So, because of the positive shift in the columns, every column reference which is relative will be adjusted 3 steps forward. So let's advance B 3 steps forward. So B 3 steps forward will be the first step gets us to C, the second step gets us to D, and the third step gets us to E. Okay? You know what we are doing? We have said we are shifting 3 steps column wise here, and therefore because we have got a column which is being referred to as B, now we want to shift it 3 steps ahead. 1, 2, 3, and therefore the new formula gives us a beginning E. So where we have B, any place where we have the formula with B, the B will change to E. The B will change automatically to become E. What about the C? Simple. Because it is just writing C. C is normally followed by D, and then D, and then E, and then there is F. Okay? Are these 3 steps? Yes. 1, 2, 3 steps rightward, because it's in a positive direction. You know, to move from our original to our target, we are jumping 3 steps rightward. Are we together? So the new formula, there is of course the prefix of a plus, this one, and then the letter C. I have not dealt with the rows yet. So the columns, the ones which are relative, they will change automatically. E becomes C. B becomes E, and then C becomes what? Becomes F. I'm sorry, because I said here it is E. It should be F. You know, I'm referring to this. C becomes F. Are we there? Okay. C becomes F in our new formula. What about the rows? Rows are way much easy. Row references which do not have dollar symbol will change. Again, this is a positive direction when you are moving from row 1. The original formula is in row 1. We are moving to row 2, row 3. How many steps? 1 and 2 steps. Okay, so every row reference which is not absolute reference, it will be adjusted 2 times. So for rows it's just so easy, because you just need to say like 1 plus 2 steps, you get 3. So where we had a 1, it becomes a 3, right? And where we had a 2, a 5, in the other part we have a 5 plus 2 steps gives us a 7. Therefore, our new formula, surprisingly, it changes from B1 plus C5 to become E3 plus F7. So this is the formula that we have now in the target cell D3. So let's check whether we are correct. Good. E3 plus F7. E3 plus F7. Let's check to confirm. E3 plus F7. And in Excel, what do we have? E3 plus F7. Hoping that you are getting the picture. So that's what could have happened in a positive direction. In the opposite direction, that is, for example, let's have another one now. Okay, I'm undoing so that we can be able to, we can create another formula here in F. Let me have it in F what? Where am I? F5. I hope you still remember our addresses. Our F5 refers to E5 minus D2. Let's say D3 minus D3. Okay. So our original formula, which is in F5, it is reading E5 minus D3. Okay. And then we want to copy it into where? I want to copy this formula from where it is, Control C to E3. No, there is a reason why I will not copy it into E3. Let me copy it into this cell, right? Into this cell. So it becomes B4 minus A2. Let's prove why. It becomes B4 minus A2. B4 minus A2. Again, I go to my workplace. I undo. Ooh, are you going to undo faster? Undo. Okay, it cannot undo any further, but nevertheless, don't worry. What I'll do is to have a table in a new page. Very fast, I create a table in a new page. This is the table that we are going to use here, and then it has got our column A, and then we have B, C, D, E, F. Okay, do we need G? Not really. And then we have got row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so in cell I think it was F5. Let's confirm. F5, we typed a formula there. In cell F5, we typed a formula which is equal to E5 minus D3. Then our target was another cell which was C4. C4 is where we are targeting to copy this formula. So this is our target now. Right? I have written the formula in F5. So this is the original. And then we are targeting to copy this formula into here. Right? Into the C4 cell. So what will happen? This kind of a movement is a negative movement because we are moving from column F, our original, to column C, the target. How many steps? 1, 2, 3. And because we are moving in a negative direction, we are subtracting steps. We have subtracted 3 steps from our original to go reverse direction into the targeted column, which is column C. So every column reference in our original formula must be shifted in a negative transition 3 steps backward. What do I mean? I have the formula showing a column reference E. So for me to know where does it come from, I need to know that If I make a negative movement from E, I go back to D, and then from D to C, and then from C to B. How many steps are those? Let us see. -1, -2, and -3. So these are -3 steps. -3 steps. So in my new formula, in the targeted cell, which is this one, I'm expecting to find every column that was labeled labeled E should change automatically to be B. Okay? Then minus will be there. So that I now ask myself, what about D? So D changes also. In a negative movement, it will be affected like this. From D -3 steps, we go backward 1, 2, 3 steps. You get to your -3 steps. Takes us to A. So where we had D, now it becomes A. Okay, it becomes A. Very good, because you are following. Then what about the rows? We have row 5 and row 3. Let us see how the rows are being affected. We are copying the formula from row 5 up in a negative direction. From row 5 to go to row 4, it's a negative movement. How many steps? Negatively, -1. So rows are easy again, because it is just saying 5. Yes, there is a cell, which is a cell reference, which is using 5 minus 1. 5 less 1 gives us a 4. Any reference which had a 5 and it was a relative will become a 4. And then what about the 3 here? 3 minus 1 step. 3 minus 1 step gives us a 2. So 3 minus 1 step gives us a 2. So where we had 3, it becomes a 2. So in our targeted cell, we need to check and confirm that we have got is equal to B4 minus A2. B4 minus A2. Very good. So that is about relative referencing. So just in case you have not been able to capture that, then you need to just pause the video, rewind a bit, so that you can be able to understand what have we said about relative cell references, which will change when copied from one cell to another. Now, let me give a workable illustration where we can learn also about now mixing them up. And before I mix them up, let me just go back here and say that if, for example, I had used absolute cell reference, if I had used absolute cell reference in my worksheet, and then I say in cell A1, I say is equal to B10 times we use the asterisk for multiplication, times D10. That's a formula which is referring to the contents we have in B10 times D10. And then I add the prefix $ before B, and a prefix $ before 10, and a prefix $ before D, and a prefix $ before 10. So these two are absolute cell references. What will they not do? They will not change when copied from the mother cell to any other cell. So they will not change. B10 times D10, okay? It will just remain like that no matter where you copy it. When I copy and paste, I'm finding it is still remaining B $B $10, $D $10, just like the mother formula. $B $10. They will not change automatically when the formula they are used in is copied from one cell to another. But mixed cell references will change partly. So that's why I wanted us to get. So very quickly, for illustration of that, I want us to have a working example. I want us to have 1, 2, a multiplication table. That's what I'm imagining, so that you can try to grasp this kind of a scenario here, where we are going to use mixed cell references. I'm having a multiplication table which is having 9 digits, 9 digits, 9 columns, 9 rows, and I want to assume that I want to use absolute and relative mixture of references to get the multiplications done here. So in this particular cell, we want the multiplication of B2 times B3. B2 times B3. Okay, so I quickly type is equal to, clicking the cell that you are referring to, times, you can type, you can click, and I have chosen by clicking. So B2 times A3 is the cell that I have typed here. And one good thing about Microsoft Excel, what I love so much, is that when you have typed a formula, you don't have to keep on retyping. You need to just simply autofill. You know autofill? Autofill refers to the act of pointing to this tiny handle in the active cell so that you can reproduce the formula to other cells like that. I have used the autofill handle. Again, autofill handle, the tiny square at the bottom right hand corner, you can use it to autofill, get the other formulas automatically. But there is a mess, of course, because the formula is using relative cell references. That is why the original formula now changed to, from it was initially B2 times A3. That now has changed to C2 times B3. Automatically changed. Every column shifted. Every column shifted. But remember, the whole of this row, the multiplier or multiplicand or whatever it is, then we must keep on multiplying with the contents in A3. A3 must not change. A3 must not change. So the original formula, therefore, how should it have looked like? Guess how? A3 must not change. So column A must be absolute column reference. All right. So let me try. Okay. Up to there. Wow. That gives me the results. But what about downward? Another mess, of course. You can see if I reached even up to 9, you can see we are in another mess. Why? There is a change which is occurring automatically, because when I come from this cell B3 to B4, I'm now multiplying. In B4 we are multiplying B3 times A4. B3, which is this cell, the first result that we got, times A4. A4 is correct, but B3 is not correct. Let's check again down here. B4, which is the previous result, the previous product, times B3, times A5, times A5. B4 times A5. You can see, right? So even this scenario. Previous product, which is in B5, times A6. So A6 is correct, but B5 is not correct. So what could we have done? Okay, so let me show you what we could have done. Just come to the original formula and restrict the change in the row reference by adding a row, a dollar to refer to the row number 2 as absolute. So, how? Like so. I have autofilled across, and then I want now to autofill for all the cells. When the whole row of the first products that I have obtained is still selected, I autofill downward as well. Isn't that cute? Check now, J2, column J. We wanted columns to change here. That's why this is relative J. And then we did not want the row number 2 to change, so J2. Where is J2? We have it up here. J2 must not change. Row 2 must not change, and that is why we are getting these results. So try to analyze. The original formula is like this. Hope you can see it. Let me zoom in so that you can see it. I zoom in like that, and then you try to check that formula. That's the one which we have typed and autofilled across, autofilled downward to get every other product that we needed in the multiplication table. So with that, I will later be giving you a small quiz. Okay, let me just have a small quiz here. You try to think about it. A small quiz where I would like you to prepare your budget. Call it my budget. My budget, my budget. Type that, and then remember to merge the cells, the headings. And then let's say that here we've got a month, January, and then autofill all the way to March. All the way to March. Then probably have total. And then we have got something like soap. Then we have got toothpaste. Toothpaste. Then we have got what else? Shoe polish. Shoe polish. etc. So many things. Okay. Then we have got something that we are going to call parameter. Parameter. That rate, inflation rate, or price hike. Price hike, which is at 3%. You know, we are rising every morning and we are finding everything, every price is skyrocketing every new day. So let's assume that we want to budget for 3 months, and we have knowledge of how goods are in the first month. That in the first month we are buying soap at 250, toothpaste at 300, and this is just assumption. So don't ask me how do I arrive at this. We have those. The values in January are 250, 300, and then 260. And then our rate of price hike is 3%. Okay, our rate of price hike is 3% in every subsequent month. So I would like you to refer to this particular cell, which is B8, using absolute cell reference, and try to work out these other values for February. So what do we mean? That the new amounts for February will be raising of 250 by 3%. You get a new value here for February. Then the new values of March will be the raising, the amount that you are going to raise the values of February by 3%. Remember, you are typing a formula. So for your assignment, try to work out this table, fill in the values for February, fill in the values for March, and then find the totals. So in that case, you'll have been able to understand mixed cell references, which I have illustrated in the multiplication table here. Mixed cell references, which we have illustrated in the multiplication table here. Relative cell references, which we have talked about at length. And then we have got the absolute cell reference, which I want you to use and apply in this particular table. Guys, I wish you the best for watching this video, and if it has been helpful to you, remember to subscribe, try to share, try also to inform others about this channel, and we shall be uploading more resources as time go by. Thank you very much for staying with us. Thank you.